Hello, it's me Philip, and in here I'm expecting to find an OSSC. It has some kind of red tint fault on the output. Remote control. Well, it's well wrapped up. There we go. I need to find out what power supply it needs. Oh, hang on, here we go. Use a 5-volt DC PSU. Oh, there's something there, look. Yeah, 5-volt DC. On, off. So one of these must be HDMI out. AV out. I don't know much about it. Doesn't see much in there. That looks like it's been opened. I hope it hasn't been worked on. I think we'll just plug it in and see what happens. I'll find a power supply for that. That feels like a good one. What about the one that I've already got on my power supply? Yeah. Perfect, that one. Right, so we've got PlayStation to RGB SCART, and this is in, HDMI in, to my capture card. Elgato, that should be it there. I'll switch on here. I've got a green light there, and I've got a screen of some sort. Let's switch on the PlayStation. PlayStation's on. Now button. There we go. The colours are all junky. Yeah, that's definitely rubbish. I can't even see the text. There should be text on there. Number one's the PlayStation one. I don't know why I've got all that stuff around the outside. Can I run a game? There we go. Starting a game. I don't know what game it is. But yeah, that looks terrible. Switch that off. What other inputs have I got? RGB. I haven't got anything at outputs, have I? I don't think so. I've got a Mega Drive, but that uses the AV1 port as well. I'm going to take that bottom off, and I'm going to check the pins on the SCART connector on the bottom. I'm hoping to get this fixed and use it for myself. Let's go under the scope. They don't look too bad, do they? Oh, I missed that earlier, a little SD card. I would like to try another input before I start messing about. Right, I've hooked an old desktop up to VGA, so we'll try this again. And we'll bring up Elgato. There we go. We'll switch the computer on. Let's see if we get a picture. I'm in 3, which is VGA, I think. Ah, there we go. Debian. So it's faulty. Right, here we are. So yeah, so it's both inputs. So it's not a SCART input problem. It must, well, I'm assuming it's an output problem now then. I wonder if I've got a different output I could try. It's strange because you can just see where it says power off. Is that going to power off now? That looks... no, it doesn't look okay, does it? I'm sure that green's okay. Oh no, installing updates. I haven't had this plugged on for ages, and I couldn't read it. And it must have said, do you want to install updates? So I'm going to have to wait for that to bloom and finish now. Right, back when that's finished. Right, so we can get rid of that. I'll put that away. Now the seller said this was an intermittent problem, which gradually got worse and worse. So you think it would be some kind of loose connection. I'm wondering if it's related to the HDMI port now. The HDMI port looks nice and clean. We could put some IPA. So just to rule it out, I'm going to put some IPA in there. I don't expect to see a difference, but it's best to rule these things out. Yeah, still the same. And I think we'll have to open it up and see if we can see any signs of damage. Gotta get this off somehow. Oh, there's not much to go wrong in there, is there? This might be kaput. I wonder what that little switch is for. Let's have a look. Where's that HDMI port? There it is. That looks good. Say I would go for a loose pin somewhere. Right, let's look for any signs of corrosion. I wonder what that switch is for. That's a Cyclone 4. Whatever that does. What's that say? PCM1862. That is an ITE IT6613E. And a Cyclone 4. Don't know what's under there. And a THS7353. Right, so scart comes in here. Runs down to here, which is this chip. Looks like it goes to this chip, to this chip, to this chip, and out. And the DVA comes in there and goes to this chip. So what's this chip? It's hard, you've got no way of knowing where the fault becomes the fault. I'm going to take that off, see what's underneath. See if I can just twist it. I was wondering if I was going to see any burn marks or anything like that. Right, I think I'm just going to go around and check for some loose pins. Right, well, I've had a good look around the board. I cannot see any faults. I've checked the HDMI out with this little component to make sure all the pins are lined up, and they are. The system seems to be working, but the output is garbled. So I've started on this chip, which is closest to the HDMI port. And it is indeed a HDMI chip, and that's it there. So I've checked for loose pins and there aren't any. Right, so I've got this hooked back up to the PlayStation. Now I've noticed if I put some pressure on here, the colours distort. But the colours distort if I press there as well. It's got to be something loose. I could reflow that chip. I have checked this for loose pins. I could run a dry soldering iron over it. Let's find out what it is and see if you can order a new one. 83AZ TRT G4. I'm just going to reflow them pins quickly and then call it a night. Have a quick check for bridges. There's one. we'll quickly try that, and if I don't have any luck, we'll have to consult the internet. Right, I'm switched on, but nah. That chip's got a heatsink on, but it's not getting very hot. It's not warming up at all. I'm wondering if it's not turning on. Could it not be turning on? Yeah, it's turning on a little bit there, look, in the middle. But it's not getting very hot. Could it be missing a voltage, perhaps? It would be a lot hotter if it was a short circuit, and I'm sure I wouldn't get anything on the screen. So I might check for voltages on there, because it came with a heatsink, but it's not hot at all. Almost as if it's not switching on. It's doing a little bit in the middle, but not a lot. That's it there. I'll switch it off. Right, so we've got, is that VDD pin 4? VDD pin 7? 4 and 7? Is that VDD 13 and 14? It looks like 4, 6 and 7, 13 and 14, 19, 26, 39, IOVDD 41, 53, can it be right surely, 66, 69, there's more across the top, PLL, 84, 85, 93, 94, surely these cannot all be power. 4, 6 and 7, 1.7 volts, 1.7, 1.7, 4, 6 and 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 4.8 volts, 14, 4.8 volts, 22, 21, 20, 19, 1.7, and then we've got 26, which should be this one, 3.3, 39 is this one, that one's got 3.3, 40, 38, 39 is that one, 1.8, 39, 40, 41, 3.3, so that's right. 3 is this one, 3.3, 66, 3.3, 69, 1.8, 84, 1.7, 85, 1.7, 94, 4.8, and 93, 4.8. So that's got all the power. Ah, that's annoying. So I posted this video, and Cheng Gauss, sorry if I've butchered your name, but he's came and said he had a similar problem, but he had a problem with a faulty IT6613E, and he bought a new one and installed it, but he also had to update his firmware. I think my firmware is working okay, because I've actually been able to update the firmware. I went from, I can't remember what it was, but I did manage to update the firmware. So I've got a new chip, I've got a spare new chip, just in case I need it. I'm going to attempt to remove this one and put this one on, and see if it fixes the problem. It's a little bit close to this plastic, that's what I'm worried about. I might put a little bit of tin foil on there and tape it down with some Captain tape. I've actually found some aluminium tape, so I'm just using that to cover up some of these plastic bits. I don't know if it'll help keep these components from moving about, but if it does, it'll be a bonus. Right, we'll give that a go, see if we can get that off. Here we go. I'm going to warm the board up. I'm going to really take my time with this and get it nice and warm. Right, I think that came off quite nice. This tape's moving about. I'm a bit worried about it's moved the components underneath. Right, so we'll give this a clean up. Those pads just don't look very nice at all. I'm going to clean everything off with some IPA and have a good look. I'm not very keen on the black board. Right, I'm going to pop the new chip on there. Let's put some heat on there and see if we can get it to stay down. That looks quite good. Put some pressure on it and give it another go. Let's see if that's moved. Right, well, it's definitely stuck down. We'll have to check the pins. I'm just waiting for the board to cool down before I pull this tape off. There's a lot of heat still in there. The capacitor's still in the same place. They look okay. Right, I think that tape worked out rather well. So I'll clean that up and we'll check for loose pins, and if there's any loose pins I might have to give them a dab with the hot soldering iron. Oh, there's one, a little bit loose there. So it looks like I've missed the last few on here. So I'll just put a bit of flux on and run a dry soldering iron on top. There's a couple of loose here. What I'm just going to do is just going to tap them all with the soldering iron. And that's worked perfectly. I think that's hooked up correctly. I've got a Sega Mega Drive hooked up to RGB SCART, and I'm going to give it 5 volts on my power supply. Right, so that's on now. Yes, there you go. Right, so I've got a test output there from here, and I'll turn my Mega Drive on and cross my fingers. Right, so the Mega Drive is switched on. There's a red light on it. Do I have to press a button? Look, green hills. Ah, it's still faulty. Let's start again so the colours stop right. Flex this board a bit. This is going to end up a no blooming fix. It might be just one faulty trace. It's like it's missing a colour signal. Right, I'm going to have to keep looking. Okay, so I've reflowed all the pins on the big 3 chips. I'll give it 5 volts and it still comes on, thankfully, and I'll switch on the Mega Drive and it's exactly the same, if not a little bit worse. It's got to be a problem with them chips. That's the one I've just done, that ITE one. See, nothing happens when you... That's the one I see a colour change on. I think I'll reflow that one with the hot air, see what happens. The colour changes when I press down on this one, but it might not be the chip, it might be this area of the board. So I could apply some flux and reflow all of these components around here. I'm clutching at straws now. I might have damaged the screen. I don't know, it had a dark patch there, but it seems to have gone away while it's cooled down. I'm not very hopeful. I'm getting a bit fed up. Right, power on. It's still on. Oh, the screen still works. Lovely. Right, there's the Mega Drive on. Press one of these buttons, this one. Still the same. Worse. So there's no change with any cold. I mean, I know that's normally for an electrolytic capacitor, I think. I just find it strange how I press down on that chip and it goes darker. I wonder if it's that chip. Or it could be something on the bottom. I'm going to have to have another look at the board. So I've replaced the ITE chip and nothing happened. It didn't fix anything. So I've ordered the other one, which is this one, the TVP7002. By the time I bought these and the other ones, I could have just bought a new OSSC. I don't know why they have to wrap them up in cling film Does that not increase the chance of static electricity? Oh, they're upside down, man. Right, so I have reflowed the one on the board, and I did manage to melt the back of the screen, and the screen went a bit of a funny colour, but it does actually still work once it's cooled back down. I'm thinking about putting a thick bit of card on there and taping it up, and then putting some aluminium tape on the back of that, just to try and stop it from melting. So I'll do that, and then I'll pop a new one of these ones on. We'll see if that fixes it. It's been such a while since I've looked at this. Right, so I've got a bit of cord to protect the back of that screen and some aluminium tape. Those 3 resistors are all 222, so if they move, I don't have to worry about them. I can put them back on. The only thing I've got a problem with is those capacitors. If they start moving, I don't know which one's which. But let's go for it. We'll put some flux on, warm the board up nice and slowly, put some flux on and see if we can get that off. Before I do that, let's compare these. Got the dot at the bottom, TVP7002. I can just see TVP7002 with a dot at the bottom. Right, let's go for it. There we go. It doesn't look like anything's moved. That cap might have moved a bit. That's something moved here. This capacitor here. That's not bad. I think I've got a moved capacitor here, and this one might have moved a bit. But everything else looks okay. So we'll clean that up. Clean this old solder off. Put some fresh solder on. Need a bit of solder on the back there. Brilliant. Right, I think that's lined up as best as I can get it. Okay, so I need to clean that up, check for loose pins, and give it a test. All these pins look really well done. If this doesn't work, I don't know what else I can try. Right, I think that's it. I've got 5 volts coming in on a power supply, hooked up to the Mega Drive, so I think that's it. I don't want to test it because if this doesn't work, I don't know what else I can do with it. Right, here goes. So I'll power the Mega Drive on first. So we've got a red light here. And I'll give this 5 volts now, and I've got a green light, so that's good. Test screens came up. No. That hasn't worked. Absolutely gutted. I have tried updating the firmware. I don't know what else it could be. Tried everything. Well, I haven't tried everything because it's not working. But I've replaced the 2 main, like the video and I don't know. There's only the CPU left. Ah, that's such a shame. It does this on RGB, VGA input as well. I've had it hooked up to an old desktop, and it's the same. So that's it. I cannot fix it. Not yet, anyways. Well, it's a Saturday morning, and for whatever reason, I thought I'll hook up the PlayStation and OSSC here and switch it on and see if I can come up with something. Clutching at straws. And look what's happened. That looks pretty good to me, and I haven't done anything. I've replaced the 2 chips previously, but it didn't fix it. So the last part of this video I was looking a bit disgruntled. So I've just switched it on and it's just sitting there all skew with, and it's came on. So I'm going to reset the PlayStation and see what the PlayStation logo comes up like, because it was the yellow the last time. See, now it's red. There we go. That looks pretty good. It's strange that the colours aren't quite right. Reset that again. Definitely red. I don't know what to do. If I touch it, it's probably going to go off. I'm going to try and move this HDMI lead. Which does look like it's... Right, that's the SCART lead. So I don't think it's the SCART lead. It's not the power socket, surely. I've got a feeling it's the power socket all this time. Look at that. Just on the power. I'm going to be really, really annoyed with myself if it's the power socket. The amount of work I've done and what I've spent replacing these 2 chips. And now I'm thinking it's the power socket. Right, I'm going to switch it off and I'm going to have a good look at the power socket. And I'll see if I can work out what it is. It cannot be a power socket, surely. Let's have a look underneath the scope. See if we can see any loose connections. I mean, it looks nice and clean. Is that a cracked solder joint? Am I just going to have to reflow that? That could be a cracked solder joint. There's a line in the solder there. I'm just going to quickly reflow that. Right, got some flux on. Fresh solder. Right, let's set this back up. Power supply on. Bring up Elgato. Switch on. Put the PlayStation on. Right. Let's see what's going to happen now. Am I on the right thing? Oh no. Hang on. It's got to be power related. Look, if I touch the switch, to see it come on, just touching that, it's a switch. Is it the switch? I'm just moving the switch. I wonder if I could jump the switch so it's always on. It's strange because the switch seems to go in and out. Right, switch off. Have a look at that switch. Why does the switch do that? So it looks like this is the 5 volts. When it comes to here, when the switch is on, it's those 2 pins. It's these 2 pins. This pin looks very badly soldered in there. So I'm going to reflow that one as well. I've just reflowed this one. Look, there's a big hole in it. And that doesn't look very good neither. I'm tempted to pull all this solder off and put some fresh solder on. I think I will. Right, so I've just resoldered them off camera because I didn't press record. So let's try that. Right, well, we're on. Switch the PlayStation on and see what happens. Gotta press this button. Still nothing. There's got to be a loose connection around there somewhere. I wonder if I just prod these while it's switched on, and if I see if I can work out if any of them are loose. Got 4.9 volts there. At the fuse I got 4.9. The front of this diode drops to 4.8, and 4.8 on this cap, and then 4.8 there. So that goes to there. Yeah. Now we'll come down to this cap, 4.8, 4.7, 4.7, 4.7, 1.7, 3.3, 1.7. I wonder if I should just reflow this area. It's working, the picture has been on. I don't believe it, it's so annoying. Just trying to flex the board. So annoying. I think that's one of them TVS diodes. I wonder if it's leaking current. But then that wouldn't explain why it came on once. Just to satisfy my own curiosity, I've soldered positive and negative onto the bottom pins of the power jack, just to bypass that. And I've still got the same fault. It's got to be something in that area. The next thing I'm going to do is bypass that switch. So all I've done, I've soldered a little capacitor leg to bypass that switch. Switch on again. Can't understand how it was working. It's so annoying, it was blooming working earlier on. There's no power on this. I'm just using it to flex the board. No, I'll just have to keep looking. So what I've done is I've just took the switch out. It's not that. But you were working when I turned you on this morning. I've got video evidence. Right, I've gone full screen here. There's the fault. I've reinstalled the power switch. And I'm going to switch this off and watch what happens. Now, according to the power switch, that's off. And if I just touch the power switch, what on earth's going on? Because I didn't think it was the power switch. I'm missing something. Look. This power switch. I've took this power switch off because I thought it was faulty. But testing it with the multimeter on the pins when it's off the board, it seems okay, but am I grounding something when I'm touching the switch? It's gone. It's got to be something to do with that switch. But I did bypass it. Unless the switch is doing something else. The switch is only from there to there. Switch is on, faulty. Turn the switch off slowly. Now I've got the switch. That should be off. Look at that. Look. It's got to be the switch. But when I bypassed it, or I thought I'd bypassed it properly, it didn't work. I'm going to have to take it back off. The switch is off. It connects this pin to the power coming in. But that doesn't actually, that one doesn't go anywhere. And when you put the switch on, it connects up these two. So the power comes in to there, through there, and then to the board. So I need to take that switch back off. It was connecting that to that. See, it's not switching off. But that doesn't go anywhere. So that switch must be faulty. I'm going to take it back off. There's the pads. This one doesn't do anything. This is power in coming from the back, the positive on the jack. And this one is the actual switch. And then that goes up to here, and on the other side of the board it follows them two paths. When you put the switch off, all it does is disconnect these two. It's not as if it goes to ground and has some kind of bleed resistor or anything. There's nothing there. I'm wondering if the positive wasn't making good contact with this side of the board to power this up. Obviously it makes a good side here, but I'm just wondering if it didn't make a very good contact on this side of the board to power this rail. So I think I'll solder something on here, push it through the board and make sure it's got a good contact on both sides, and then just connect 5 volts to it. I'm bypassing the fuse and the diode and this cap, which possibly... No, I could connect it back to there, couldn't I? Yeah, I'll make sure I've got a good connection on there, on both sides, and connect it to here, and then power it on through the jack. And then I've still got the fuse and the diode and the capacitor. And then on this side of the board, made sure I've got a connection on that side of the board and that side of the board. Although, like, I've just realised while I've been thinking about it, that should be a via, so it shouldn't have any trouble coming onto this side of the board. Right, switch on. No, still the same. That's really strange. I'm wondering if it's these capacitor and diode. I think what I'll do next is I'll take this little jumper wire I've put on off, and I'll inject 5 volts straight onto this side, and I'll bypass the diode and the fuse and the capacitor. So I've got that grounded to the power supply, and I'm going to plug this probe in. Right, so I've got 5 volts on here. Right, 5 volts. And I'm just going to bypass, don't know if it's a good idea or not, but I'm going to bypass the protection circuit. Still not doing it. Three volts. I've dropped my power supply to 3 volts and it came on. Where's the blooming box? Use 5 volt DC PSU only. Now, watch this. Right, 3 volts. So this is 3 volts. What on earth is going on? Right, I've put the power switch back on. I'm going to plug this controller into the PlayStation. I'm pretty sure the switches, I took the switch off and it was working, but when I was switching it off, the machine was coming on. I thought, is it limiting the current or the voltage when it's half off? So I've tested it with 3 volts, and for some reason it seems to be coming on. So we're going to switch it on again. I've got the power jack in and the switch back on. Right, now the screen hasn't came on, or it's on very, very dim. But there's the display. So is this going to actually play a game okay? I don't think the OSSC is very good at PlayStation stuff, because PlayStation puts out a strange thing, strange resolution. But look, it's blooming working. Now there's sound coming up through OBS, but I can't hear it, so I'm just going to mute it. I can't believe it. What's causing it? It's 5 volts, definitely, but 5 volts is overvolting it, or it appears to be overvolting it. That picture's spot on. I can't believe it. Somebody help. I don't want to put it back together. I cannot see the screen. The screen hasn't come on because it's only getting 3 volts. I wonder if I should try it at 4.5. Right, 4 volts. 4 volts. And I've got a picture on my four volts gives us a picture on the display there and brings it up. Help. Something is... Oh, I thought I'd gone off. Right. Oh, I've changed 2 chips and it's getting too much voltage at 5 volts. That's what the problem is. So I'm going to leave the video here because I don't know what the hell's going on. So I'm hoping someone in the comment section can tell us what's happening, or how can I adjust this down and get it back down to 5 volts. Obviously nobody makes 4 volt power supplies, so I need it to work on 5 volts. I'm tempted to try 5 volts again just before I finish this video. Right, 5 volts. No, see? Too much voltage. 4.5 volts. 4.5 volts is okay, but 5 volts, all hell breaks loose. I'm over the moon. I'm kind of not over the moon because I've spent ages on it. I'm just happy I thought about lowering the voltage down when I was playing with the switch. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. But it's not fixed. So if you know what's going on, please let us know in the comments section. It's going to be very hard to find a 4.5 volt power supply, I would have thought. But at least it's working. Brilliant. Thank you very much. I hope to see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching.